Quite frankly, I'm surprised that Apple is able to get away with this. Back in September of 2020, Apple released their iOS 14 update, which essentially turned their AirPods Pro into hearing aids. Of course, at that time, I did a detailed review on the AirPods Pro to see how good they were at amplifying sound for individuals with a mild to moderate hearing loss, and to be honest, they did pretty well. In fact, I had numerous individuals bring their AirPods Pro into my clinic for us to optimize them after seeing my review video, and several of these individuals did experience a relatively good amount of success with these devices. Well, since that time, Apple has released their new AirPods Pro 2 that has these same features that allow you to turn your AirPods into hearing aids. Now, technically speaking, the AirPods Pro and AirPods Pro 2 are not hearing aids, and they are not over-the-counter hearing aids. Now, I'm not exactly sure how Apple is able to skirt around the over-the-counter hearing aid guidelines that were established at the end of 2022, but I guess as long as they never market these as hearing aids or over-the-counter hearing aids, they can get away without having any regulation on these devices. Regardless, since they quite obviously have some hearing aid capabilities, I went ahead and decided to review these just like I would any other over-the-counter hearing aid device. The AirPods Pro 2 use the new H2 chip as opposed to the AirPods Pro that just used the H1 chip. Apple claims that this new chip gives the AirPods Pro 2 better active noise cancellation, better noise reduction, and better acoustics. While the appearance of the Apple AirPods Pro 2 and the Apple AirPods Pro are nearly identical, the Apple AirPods Pro 2 now come with an extra small earbud tip. As far as the smaller earbuds go, that will help out certain individuals with smaller ear canals, but for myself, I use the size medium, and these fit my ears like a glove. I absolutely love them. In fact, from a physical fit perspective, I found the AirPods Pro 2 to be some of the most comfortable earbuds that I've ever worn. That being said, if you previously had issues with the way your AirPods Pro fit your ears, you're going to continue to have that problem with the AirPods Pro 2 unless the smaller earbud helps you out. Personally, from a comfort standpoint, I could wear these all day long, which brings me to my next point, which is Apple did extend the battery life on the AirPods Pro 2, which is very helpful. The original AirPods Pro would give you 4.5 hours of battery life if you use them as hearing aids, and the AirPods Pro 2 will now give you 6 hours of battery life. Honestly, that extra 1.5 hours is helpful, but you would still have to get yourself a second pair of these devices if you wanted to wear the AirPods Pro 2 as hearing aids all day long. Of course, at only $249 for a pair of Apple AirPods Pro 2, you could buy yourself 2 pairs of these devices and still spend less money than you would for a decent pair of over-the-counter hearing aids that'll run you right around $1,000. All right, guys, hopefully you're enjoying this video so far. Trust me, we are going to get more technical with the AirPods Pro 2, but if you could do me a huge favor, click that like button. It really helps out my channel, and it encourages me to make more review videos just like this one. And while you're at it, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button with notification bell, go ahead and do that as well. I greatly appreciate it. That being said, let's get back to the review. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at how to turn your AirPods Pro 2 into hearing aids so you can better hear sounds around you and so you can hear streaming better. Right off the bat, you need to pair your AirPods Pro 2 to your Apple iPhone. And yes, you do need an iPhone if you want to enable these headphone accommodations to turn your AirPods Pro 2 into hearing aids. If you do not have an iPhone, but you have a friend who has an iPhone, you can technically use their iPhone to turn your devices into hearing aids and then give their phone back to them, because the AirPods will actually store the settings that you put in them. Once you get them paired, the next thing you need to do is upload your professional audiogram thresholds into your iPhone, or download the Mimi Hearing app and take a hearing test that will upload automatically. To do this, make sure that your AirPods Pro 2 are either paired to your phone or your iPad and you have them in your ears. Then you will want to go to Settings, scroll down to Accessibility, scroll down to Audio Visual, Headphone Accommodations, Custom Audio Setup, click Continue, and either select a previously entered audiogram or enter a new audiogram. If you have a professional hearing test, you can use your iPhone camera to upload your audiogram and it will automatically enter thresholds for you, but this is incredibly inaccurate, so I would recommend entering your thresholds yourself by hand. The next best thing would be to download the Mimi Hearing Test app and take the hearing test through your iPhone. Once you've got your audiogram uploaded, you can either use your custom settings based on your audiogram results, or you can use the standard settings. Next, this brings up the section where you can customize your transparency mode, where you can adjust your overall amplification levels, your transparency balance between your left and right AirPods, your tone controls between darker and brighter, your ambient noise reduction, and toggle conversation boost on or off. To test the Apple AirPods Pro 2, I once again enlisted the help of my assistant Bree, who has a mild to moderate sensorineural hearing loss, which happens to fall within the capabilities of the AirPods Pro 2. To perform real ear measurement, we place probe microphone tubes inside of Bree's ear canals and measure the amount of amplification that she receives from the AirPods Pro 2. We can also measure things like directionality and noise reduction with this method. First, we measured Bree's ear canal resonance, which is indicated by the solid pink curve. This allows us to see the natural amplification effect that her ear canal creates without using any amplification devices. However, in order for Bree to hear her best, we would want the solid pink curve to match the hashmark pink curve, which is her NAL/NL2 hearing loss prescription. Obviously, with a mild to moderate hearing loss, she will need some amplification in order to accomplish this. Second, we placed the AirPods Pro 2 into Bree's ears and measured the initial amplification levels indicated by the solid red curve to see how close they came to matching her prescription, which is the red hashmark curve. As you can see, the AirPods Pro 2 did a horrible job of matching her prescription above 1000 Hz on their initial settings based on her entered audiogram, essentially leaving her significantly underamplified, which would provide her with little to no benefit using these devices. If you compare the solid red curve with the solid pink curve, you can see that the AirPods Pro 2 provided little to no amplification across the frequency range on this default setting. Third, we attempted to customize the transparency settings to Bree's prescription, this time using a turquoise curve. After several attempts of modifying the amplification levels, transparency balance, and tone settings, this is as close as we got. While this is much better than before, you can see that we are still not meeting her hearing loss prescription above 3000 Hz, which would ultimately cause her to struggle with clarity in speech. Fourth, to fully test the capabilities of the AirPods Pro 2, we set the tone control to darker, which increased low-frequency amplification while at the same time decreasing high-frequency amplification. The same type of offset occurs when you shift it over to brighter. Now be careful when you shift it over to darker, because while that might sound a little bit more natural to you, it actually can create a phenomenon called upward spread of masking, which can drown out the clarity from the high frequencies. I do have an entire video explaining the concept of upward spread of masking, so if you're interested in it, go ahead and check it out. Fifth, I wanted to measure compression settings to see if soft sounds were being amplified enough to be audible, and if loud sounds were being reduced enough to be comfortable. Starting with the loud level compression in turquoise, we can see that the AirPods Pro 2 do a pretty good job at reducing amplification given to loud sounds so they do not become too loud. But as we check the soft level compression in green, we can see that we are missing prescriptive targets all over the place, which means that Bree would continue to struggle with soft talkers and struggle to hear soft speech components. Sixth, we tested the conversation boost feature, which is designed to use directionality to prioritize speech coming from the front while reducing sounds coming from the back. If this feature works, we would expect to see the solid red curve, which is sound coming from the front, to be higher on the graph than the solid turquoise curve, which is sound coming from the rear. Clearly, this conversation boost feature works, and works really well, I might add. Seventh, I wanted to measure the ambient noise reduction capabilities of the AirPods Pro 2. To do this, we play a steady state pink noise and see how many decibels of noise reduction occurs. First, we turned this feature to its lowest setting and measured only 3 decibels of noise reduction. Next, we set it to the medium setting and measured a respectable 8 decibels of noise reduction. Finally, we set the ambient noise reduction to maximum and measured between 9 and 10 decibels of noise reduction. Finally, I wanted to compare the optimal AirPods Pro 2 settings in red with Bree's prescription hearing aid settings in purple. As you can see, while the AirPods Pro 2 settings are respectable, Bree's prescription hearing aids do a much better job of matching the hashmark prescriptive targets, meaning that her prescription hearing aids still do a better job of optimizing her ability to hear. While they were definitely not perfect at being able to match a mild to moderate hearing loss prescription for average level speech and soft level speech, for a pair of devices that cost only $249, they did much better than I expected. I was also very pleased to see that the conversation boost feature worked worked really well as the noise reduction settings, even though I was not able to measure much more noise reduction from the midway point up to the maximum point. As far as my other thoughts about using the Apple AirPods Pro 2 as hearing aids, I like that you can also apply the audiogram tuning to both phone calls and other media streaming in addition to the transparency mode. This means that you should also be able to understand people better on the phone, as well as hear music better and other streamed media better. The stability of the Bluetooth connection between the AirPods Pro 2 and your smartphone is second to none, and they definitely outperform any other hearing aid that's out on the market when it comes to Bluetooth stability. You can also use the Live Listen feature to turn your iPhone into a remote microphone. To learn more about this feature, you need to watch Dr. Rachel Cook's video about turning your AirPods Pro into spy devices. When it's all said and done, are the AirPods Pro 2 as good as prescription hearing aids? The answer to that is clearly no. But would they be a viable option to provide you with benefit if you have a mild to moderate hearing loss, even though they are not an over-the-counter hearing aid? The answer to that is clearly yes. So if you're on the fence about doing something to treat your hearing loss, the fastest and cheapest way for you to get started may be to get yourself a pair of Apple AirPods Pro 2.